Hi, this is DigitalFemme and welcome to my channel. So in this video, I want to share with you the reason why I have a lot of plants. And by a lot of plants, I mean, so far I have 50 different varieties of plants in my 400 square foot apartment. And if you want to know why I have so many plants and it's not what you think, then please continue watching. Hi, I'm glad you stayed. So I don't know if you know this, but if you are on Instagram or Facebook, you know what, but primarily on Instagram and now TikTok, you will notice that there has been a resurgence of people who love plants. And by people, I mean it's not just old ladies, it's actually millennials. Young people love plants. They collect them and then they take care of them, and they also get monetized on their YouTube channel, their Instagram account, and probably TikTok. I believe TikTok is now monetizing certain accounts. I'm not sure if that's true, but I think I read that somewhere. Anyway, I am not a millennial and I am not an old lady. So the reason why I started getting a lot of plants is actually a story that I first need to share with you. And that story is, I currently live in Canada. And in the city that I'm currently living in, it is not the city that I grew up in. I grew up in Toronto, and right now I live in a city in the middle of Canada that is actually rather small from my point of view. Now, I have been staying in this city for over 8 years now, but prior to that, I have lived in Texas for 11 years and Germany for 3. And in Texas, I lived in Houston. I also lived in McAllen, Texas, which was similar to the size of the city I'm living in now. But I did move to Houston, which is like the 4th largest city in the US. So that did me fine because I actually am a big city girl. And then in Germany, I lived in Frankfurt. It's not like Berlin, but it was a big enough city that I felt it was a big city for me. Now that I'm here in this smaller city in the middle of Canada, I guess, well, first of all, I've always liked plants. Wherever I've been, I've always had a number of plants. I've grown herbs, I've grown vegetables when I would live in a house that had a garden outside, and I also love gardenias. So I made sure to always have number 1, a gardenia plant, and number 2, a Benjamina ficus plant, or is that Ficus benjamina? So it's not unusual for me to have plants in my home. So with that said, having 50 different varieties of plants, and that brings you to almost 60 plants in total in a 400 square foot apartment, then what's up with that? So I decided a while ago, and I guess this was 3 years ago. I think my plant craze started about 3 years ago when I moved from a larger loft space apartment, which was newly renovated, to a much smaller, older apartment. And the reason why I moved to a much smaller, older apartment was because I could no longer afford the larger, newer loft space apartment. And now that I was in here, I obviously felt bad about moving from a larger, newer place to something smaller and older looking. And the way I wanted to prevent myself from feeling bad about this current place that I'm staying in, I thought that I could turn it into a project. And the project that I turned it into in my mind was, I'm going to create an urban jungle. Now, at that time, I wasn't aware that an urban jungle was a thing. I just thought that if I just had a lot of plants in this small space, then I wouldn't have to go outside during the winter time or even in the summer, because it gets really hot in the city where I'm at, even though it's in Canada and a little bit more north than Toronto. However, I thought, you know what, why don't I just do that? But in addition to that, I really decided that I really needed to take care of something. Number 1, I'm far away from my family and friends, from Toronto, I mean. And number 2, I found myself in a city that I didn't feel was for me. But the reason why I stayed, that's in another video. And the reason why I'm here, that's actually in another video that I will soon create one day. So I thought I needed to take care of something. I wanted to create a space or a kind of environment where I had to rise up to the occasion and be responsible and accountable for something, and not just for me. I don't have children with me. I am not married. And even though I have found very dear friends here in the city that I live in, they have their own lives. And as much as I love being alone and I really enjoy my own space and my own alone time, it wasn't enough for me. I needed to feel fulfilled. And of course, I could feel fulfilled on my own by having other hobbies that I do. But I felt that, at least with plants, there was an aspect of nurturing and taking care of and actually making sure they stay alive. Now, prior to this, I have also been a nurse in Texas for 11 years. So perhaps that kind of like spoke to my needing to care for something or someone and nurturing side. I'm not really too sure about that. But what I do know is that I really did need to fulfill that part of me, that human part of me that needed to just nurture and take care of something. And this something happened to be a plant and a multiple of plants. Now, obviously, having a lot of plants in my apartment, I also went through a lot of learning. You know, it's very interesting when you take care of plants or you're committed to taking care of plants, then you actually find out that plants really teach you a lot. I can only speak for myself. Plants have taught me a lot of things. I won't go into that now. Why? Because that's actually going to make a really good video for the near future or the next 2 episodes or so. So I'm just going to save it for now. But I'll just let you know that being able to take care of plants, you really become more self-aware and are sensitive to a lot of things in your environment that you are not aware of, or that you don't even know you could be. For instance, just taking care of one plant and seeing that, oh, the leaves are turning brown, or, oh, there's a new baby leaf coming out. They all play on your emotion. This whole idea of you don't want to lose this plant. You don't want the plant to die. And then when you notice that parts of the leaves are wilting, or maybe the plant can die, it just, it's just like you're overcome with emotion. Well, anyway, I am. And then when you see a new baby pop up, like a new baby leaf or a new baby growth, the joy that it gives you, it's just so amazing. And in a way, it really fulfilled me, or it continues to fulfill me. I'm not sure if I'm really explaining this right. I better just calm down and just focus on what I really want to say. I guess then the analogy of having plants have roots. Plants need roots to grow. And now that I'm thinking about it, and now that I'm talking about it, I guess ever since I left Toronto back in 96, I left Toronto for Texas, and then I went to Texas. I've been there for, I guess, 11 years, and then I moved to Germany, and then I was there for 3 years, and then I came back to Toronto in 2010. I know that was a long time ago. That was like 10 years ago, and honestly, I can't believe time has gone by. But coming back to Toronto, even though it was my hometown, and I was back with family and friends that I've known since like kindergarten, I really still felt not misplaced, but I don't know if you can understand this, but I felt like the roots that I had established when I was living in Toronto, and then I moved to Texas, and I had to grow roots there. And then in Germany, I had to kind of like form roots there. And now I'm here in the middle of Canada in a city. Now I need to feel again forming roots. So I'm at a stage in my life where I'm not in my 20s or my 30s. And I'm almost like, okay, so I'm almost like halfway through my, I guess, expected time to live, like whatever they call that, life expectancy. And I'm wondering, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life, my halfway point? And I'm cognizant of the fact that I do not own a home. And actually, I've never wanted to own a home per se. Even when I was a nurse in Texas and making a lot of money, there was a lot of nurses that were working lots of shifts. Like they were working 2 jobs so that they could have a mortgage and have a nice house. And what I was always told and advised was that I should have a house, buy a house, because that has equity. And then, like all that stuff. And I understood that. But for some reason, even while I was growing up, I somehow equated having a mortgage was being tied down to something. And I guess that's just me. I know that there are other people out there that feel the same way. And I know that there are other people out there that can't imagine not having a mortgage, not putting money into equity for something like for their future, something stable. Having a mortgage never meant stability for me. And I guess because as I was growing up, I would hear my parents talk about their friends and this thing called a mortgage. Having these couples or my friends of my parents not afford a mortgage. Somebody lost a job and had to let go a home. Somebody was having cancer and then they died, and then the person who was left behind had to move. So to me, in my experience as a child, mortgage wasn't actually positive. It was more like a burden. Having a house was more like a burden because, what were you going to do with it when you couldn't afford it? And you put all your life into it. You put your things into it. And then for whatever reason, you couldn't stay anymore for whatever reason. And then I witnessed like the heartache and the heartbreak and the trauma and the stress from seeing my parents express from their point of view the suffering that their friends were going through. As a child, I internalized that. So I think I'm babbling, but I really am not. I'm really wanting to, still relating this to plants. So as much as I am not really too comfortable with having a mortgage, and that's just my opinion. So I've always rented all my life, and I've been very comfortable renting, because to me, renting is like, you still have to pay for a roof over your head. And just because I'm not putting in equity, I really don't feel like I'm at a loss. Why? Is because as a nurse, I knew that your life could be taken away from you. You could have an accident at any given moment. You don't even have to be on the road. Things can just happen. So I already knew just to be mindful and grateful and thankful for every moment that I had. So a mortgage was not going to add value to any moment that I had, any given moment. What adds value to all the moments that I have is my mindset, how I feel. That's simply that. So in getting back to the plant topic, because I moved from a really nice, newly renovated loft to a much smaller place, an old looking place, I had to trick my mind to make sure that I could feel comfortable living in a very small space. So I figured if I turned it into a type of urban jungle, that would be pretty cool. And then that could be a project that can take my mind away from having to move in a small old place. And you know what? It actually worked. Not only that, but having plants is just amazing, because I've had people visit me from time to time, and every time they came in and they saw my plants, number one, they would exclaim how wonderful the air felt, even though I wasn't really sure what they meant, because literally I'm always here, so I don't really know the difference. But a lot of people who visit me say, "Oh my God, that your air feels so, the air in this apartment feels so clean, and it just feels so fresh." And I guess because the plants are giving off oxygen. Not only that, it really adds to the look of the place. I mean, I just love the color green. I just love all the life around me, and there are so many stories that I can tell you about my plants. And there is one actually when my plants talked to me, and by talking I meant we kind of like communicated telepathically. I'll put that video in the link in the description, because it's a really interesting video. Anyway, I think I'm going around about it, because I started talking about where I lived and about a home and a mortgage. So I better just center this video. And basically, I'm feeling like plants represent home to me, because metaphysical or analogy type of way, plants, as I was saying way before, plants need roots to grow. And I guess maybe in some way, subconsciously, having plants here to take care of is going to make sure I don't move anymore. Even though I'm in a city that I would have never thought of living in, having plants around that I have to take care of and I want to take care of is giving me second thoughts about moving again. As much as I love adventure and seeing new places, starting over again, it's really quite an experience, and it is challenging. But I will say that I do enjoy the starting over phase. But I think as I get older, it's kind of like hard to start up again and over again. I mean, I could do this if I was 20. I could move again. And will I move again? I probably will. But I feel like I need rest. I feel like in the past, I don't know, prior to coming back to Canada in 2010, those past 11 years in Texas and then 3 years in Germany, it kind of, I don't know, I just needed a lot more stability. And I'm really happy where I am now. I'm grateful. Actually, I don't regret moving to this city at all. I love the city. I love that it suits my lifestyle really well where I am in my life. I love it because I'm 2 blocks away from the river and a riverfront where you can go paddle boarding, and there's canoeing, and there's like nice little venues along the river to, enjoy and shop and eat. I love that I'm only 4 minutes away from a mall that has a lot of major brands, and one of them is Sephora, that makeup place. Can you imagine 4 minutes away to a Sephora walking? That's amazing. I have Starbucks, that's in a minute walk, which I don't really frequent, but hey, it's there. And then there's another Starbucks 2 blocks down. So basically what I'm saying is, in the city that I'm living in, because I'm a big city girl, I made sure to live in the downtown area called the Central Business District, where I have access to a lot of things. The one thing I don't have access to actually is a bona fide grocery store, which is not too bad because it's like a 12-minute walk, which is not bad at all. But anyway, it's not like it's within the neighborhood. Now, I guess I'm going to stop here. I hope that the title that I give this video doesn't at all seem like clickbait. I really wanted to share my reason for having plants, and I hope I explained that well enough. And I know I kind of there was a part in the video where I did a roundabout mortgage and told you where I live, but it's really part of the story. If this video resonated with you at all, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have plants, and if so, what were your reason? Did you buy plants because you knew it was a trend on Instagram and you thought, hey, that's so neat, and you're seeing all these really nice spaces with white walls and white furniture or whatever, and with green plants? Is that why you have plants? Or do you really love to grow plants? Or is there another subconscious reason perhaps that you're not even aware of? Now that I'm telling you, maybe it's going to make you think twice about why you actually do have plants. I don't know, but I definitely would love to hear in the comments below. And if there's something about this video that you like, then consider liking it, and do subscribe to the channel, because I always say I will have a video that will definitely resonate with you. It would either motivate you, inspire you, or give you an aha moment. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here. Thank you for visiting, and wherever you are in the world, have a great day, have a great evening, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.